Alright, so I'm going to show how to replace the screen on this iPhone 8 Plus. So first thing, of course, you want to remove any phone cases or anything like that. So let's pop this thing off. Yeah, this phone case is kind of hard to remove. There we go. Okay, so we'll take that out. And then we're going to use a Pentalobe 0.8 or a P2 screwdriver to remove the 2 screws on the bottom. So let's remove the 2 screws real quick. Alright. It's a little bit tough to work on this pad, but in order to get the screen to not turn too bright, I have to, or too dark actually, because my table's white. Maybe I need to get some like thin matte, I don't know. Alright, so here we go. We got those 2 screws out, and then we're going to use a thin pry tool to get between the plastic part of the frame and the metal cover, or I don't know what you would call that, the metal case housing. Alright, so get underneath there and just go slightly around. You don't want to put the tool too far because then you can cut some cables that are under there. Okay, when you go through the side, there's actually a metal frame that will block it, so you can't push the tool too far actually. But around the front here, you want to be careful not to insert the tool too far. Alright, so we're going to just keep going along the edge here. Okay, alright, and then we're going to go around the side. Same thing. Alright, and we'll just cut along the edge of the plastic frame. Alright, and basically what we're doing is we're cutting out the adhesive. Alright, so we're going to keep going. This is the same idea for the iPhone 7, iPhone 8, iPhone 10. All of those phones are very similar. Okay, the iPhone SE. Okay, so once you get the sides out, we're going to lift up the screen. So it kind of helps if you have a wider tool, so that way you can use that to kind of twist it like this. Okay, and then you go on here, and then you can twist this as well. There we go. You want to be careful not to separate the screen too far because there is the cable here for the screen. All right, I don't know if you can see it there, but there's the cable right there. Okay, so what we're going to do, once you get it lifted up, we're going to go ahead and try and cut the adhesive along the top as well. Okay, so the top is a little trickier, but just cut the adhesive, all right? And then after you cut the adhesive, you can pull the screen downwards. All right, if it's still stuck, you might have to cut some more. Okay, go around the entire edge like this. Same with this side. All right, there we go. Pull the screen down, and then you can flip it over to the side like a book, just like this. All right, we are going to remove all this old adhesive because if you leave it there, it can cause damage if you were to drop the phone because it will create like high points in the frame. Okay, so we'll pull that. There we go. All right, so first thing, once you get this open, we're going to remove the battery connector. So in here, we're going to need 3 other screwdrivers, or 2 other screwdrivers, a Y000, and then we'll need a PH0. A 00 might work as well, but I use a PH0. All right, so we're going to remove the 4 screws holding this metal bracket. Let me see if I can zoom in to show this better. All right, and this metal bracket is holding down the screen connectors as well as the battery connector. So we're going to remove these screws. Keep them in order because they are different size, shape, and lengths. If you mix them up, you actually can damage the phone. So it's very important that you keep all the screws in order, okay? That goes the same for the bottom screws as well, of course. Right, so the way I do that is I just take them out and put them in the pattern I see. So there's this diagonal here, and then there's this one all the way at the bottom. So that's how I put the screws in that layout. That screw seems to be much longer than the rest. Right, then once you do that, we're going to lift this metal plate up and remove it. Okay, just take it out and set it aside. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is disconnect the battery connector right there. Okay. So just get a plastic tool. I just use my fingernail, and then I will pop that up. So here you can see we got the battery connector out. Once you do that, you're going to press and hold the power button 10 to 15 seconds just to drain any power on the board. make sure that you don't risk damaging anything, all right? And also you'll know if you disconnected the right cable because the phone shouldn't turn itself on once you do this, okay? All right, so once you've done that, press and hold the power button. We're gonna remove the two connectors right here. These are the screen and digitizer connectors. So I just get my fingernail underneath here at the top edge, right? And then I just pop this up just like that, all right? Then you got the other connector underneath, same thing. Get underneath there. Okay, if you can't get there, you can go towards the front. You wanna be careful and just make sure you're only getting underneath the connector, all right? It's a little bit tricky. It's easier from the top there, okay? And there we go. Then we're going to have to remove the connector here for the camera and all the sensors up there. To do that, we are going to have to switch over to the Y000 screwdriver. All right, and then we're gonna remove the screws holding this bracket in place. So there's actually only two here that we need to remove, the ones to the side of that connector. All right, again, keep all these screws in order. Okay, 1 and 2. All right, once you get those two screws out, we can take that bracket out. Okay, then we're gonna pop that connector out just like the other ones. Again, I just use my fingernail. You can use a little plastic pry tool, all right? So just get underneath the edge and pop it up just like that. And there we go. All right, so now we're going to remove all the adhesive along the edges. So there's the corners have some adhesive there. We're gonna have to take that out, just roll it off. And then it helps to kind of just stretch this as you pull it. And if you stretch it kind of following the line of this, it's easier than if you were to pull it straight up. But usually when prying it out, we end up cutting the adhesive. So just like this, all right. As you can see, it keeps snapping. Okay, there we go. Flip this over. Sorry if you can't see what's going on. I know it's kind of zoomed in, but you get the idea. We're just peeling off the black adhesives here, okay? If you want, you can fast forward over, but basically that's all we're doing, pulling off that adhesive. Come on. Adhesive is being difficult. I'm just gonna roll my finger along here. The other thing you want to check is make sure that the metal frame isn't bent or dented, because if the frame is damaged, then putting a new screen, you're gonna end up damaging that screen on the metal casing. Okay, oops, sorry. Okay, I'm gonna have to zoom out to make this so you can see the whole phone, hopefully. Okay. All right, let's remove the adhesive from this side. You want to be careful with the internal components. You don't want to put too much pressure on it or cause static discharge through it. So make sure that you are touching something to keep yourself grounded so static electricity doesn't build up. Okay, I have my knee on my metal desk, just in case you guys are wondering. This one's coming out a lot easier. I can just keep stretching it. Hopefully it won't tear itself. Perfect. This one's coming out a lot nicer than the other one. Okay, there we go. All right. Make sure the top is clean as well. All right, there we go. We'll set the phone aside for now. Now we're going to work on the screen. Oops, Sorry, my recording is lagging, so I can't tell when I'm recording. All right, we're gonna remove all the screws from the sides as well as all the screws from this and up here. So, well, actually, let's get the replacement screen. Sometimes, okay, on this one, the replacement screen came with the replacement back plate, so we actually only need to remove the bottom and the top screws. We're gonna also throw aside this yellow piece. Okay. We got a replacement seal. I'll try putting that, but most of the time it doesn't work. But, we'll try it. All right. So first thing we're gonna do, since we're already using the Y000, we're gonna go ahead and remove these screws. So first one you wanna do is remove the one from the home button, but you wanna keep your finger on the behind the home button, so that way when you push on it to remove the screw, you don't push the home button through the base, all right, or through the screen. Okay, we're gonna keep these screws in order again, and now we're gonna remove the other 3 screws. Okay, let me zoom in a little bit. Okay, hopefully you can see. Okay, so we're gonna remove all 4 screws from the bottom here, again, starting with the home button. There we go. And then we're gonna take this metal bracket and set it aside. Okay, and to disconnect this home button cable, what you do, I use one fingernail to pull this up and another fingernail down right below it to pull it down. So hopefully you can tell what I'm doing, but there we go, just like that. And this is what's holding down that connector, right? Okay, so now we're going to have to heat this up so that we can peel this away from the screen and then push the home button through. All right, so I'm gonna get a heater and I will be back. All right, so I got a heater now and I just have it off to the side, but basically, oh, here, let me see if I can show it. There we go. So I'm just gonna heat this up here, and I'm gonna heat from this side because I don't want to heat the button up too much. We just want to get this part here warm enough that we can scrape that adhesive out. All right, so it's already getting warm pretty fast, and I'm going to use a needle to help with the removal process here. Okay, we're just going to warm that up. Okay, hopefully that's good. I'll set this aside. Let's see if I can show this. So I got this needle. I actually have a bend in it. It helps make it a little bit easier. So what I do, let's lift this connector out of the way. All right, so we're gonna have to get underneath this piece. So I get the needle under there. If we can, I might have to heat it more. And then I use the back of the bend to help scrape it down. Okay, so that way there's like low risk of accidentally puncturing this piece with the needle, okay? Just like that. All right, and just keep going. Might have to heat it a little more, but no, actually it's good. All right, so just like that. You can see this connector's coming up. All right, once you get that connector up like that, you can actually let the home button fall through, and there we go. So we got the home button out. Okay, we're gonna put the home button into the new screen. So the new screen's like this, same thing. It has this protective coating, so I'm gonna peel that back slightly. All right, and then we're gonna thread the home button through. Okay, just like that. You wanna make sure this connector is up and out of the way. Okay, all right, get that up and out of the way. Oops, make sure the home button connector ends up underneath. All right, and then you want to feel this with your finger. Make sure it's flush and smooth. It's not getting any sharp points, and then you can put this protective coating back to cover that. And to line it up, there's a little hole right there. It lines up with a plastic dimple that sticks out. So you want to just get that lined up. Okay. You don't want to yank on the cable too much. I'm going to use the needle to help lift it. All right, and then get that lined up and push that into place. There we go. All right, and then to reconnect this connector here, usually I have to push this down with my fingernail and then slide it like closer up here. So I don't know if you can see, but there we go. I push that up. and then I fold this over and then clamp it down. And there we go, we got the connector. You can actually feel it click into place. It doesn't really make much of a sound. Okay, so now we're going to put this bracket back on top. We're going to put the outside screws first, and then we'll put the home button screw last. Okay, that way we make sure that this bracket is in place properly. Okay, so we're going to get the screws. And to do this, I'll usually put one screw here first, and I'll put it loosely, not tightened completely down. Second screw on the far side over here. Same thing, loosely, not completely tightened. And then we'll get the third screw. Get that in. Alright, then you just tighten them all down. Just like this, like that, and like this. Alright, we got all three screws in. Then we'll take the screw for the home button. Alright, just like before, make sure you put your finger behind the home button to hold it up. Alright, and then tighten this screw into place. There we go. If you want, you can check these screws. We are missing the one screw down there, so we are going to transfer that over. But that is using a PH0 screw, so we're going to take the PH or JIS 0 screwdriver. We're going to remove the screw from the old one. Alright. Transfer it over to the new one. Tighten it in place just like that. Alright, now we're going to remove the camera and sensors from the top of this one using the PH0 screwdriver. Again, let's go ahead and remove all these screws. Alright, again, make sure to keep them in order because they are different size, shape, and lengths. Okay, there's 2 along the top and then 3 along the bottom. Make sure that screw's a little bit stuck. There we go. That's a longer screw as well. Alright, then the 3 screws at the bottom. Oh, they're all different. Okay. Last one. Once you get all the screws out, we can lift this metal bracket off. Okay, you want to be careful that it doesn't get caught on anything, and we'll just set that aside. Okay, you're going to want to lift the camera sensor up, but be careful not to touch underneath because that's where you don't want to get any oil or dust or dirt on the screen, on the lens. And then we'll just grab this speaker and take it out. So that's the earpiece speaker. Alright, now we're going to have to use some more heat to get this out. Alright, so let's get the heater again. Heat it up, and I like to heat it from the glass side so that way the heat doesn't go through the sensors to heat up the adhesive. So we're heating up the glass. Okay, and this, you can kind of heat it up quite a bit. The way you know it's hot enough is you touch here and it'll kind of burn, so you want to just heat that. Okay, you can use a hair dryer, you can use a hot pack. You could also just leave this out in the sun, and if your screen is black, it should absorb enough heat to make the adhesive loose. Or you can even just put like some kind of black tape or something on the screen if your screen is white, and that should help you do the same thing. Alright, so there we go, we're just heating this up. Some people use like hot packs, you can use, whatever, use your imagination that can heat up the glass but not damage the components. Alright. Okay, that's pretty hot already. Maybe a few more seconds. Okay. So I like to start with the speaker connector down here. Oops, sorry. So those 4 gold dots, and same thing, I use the needle, get underneath, and then I try and turn the needle to the rounded bent part so that way I don't accidentally puncture the connections. And we're just gonna push the thing underneath, and there we go, we lifted that whole piece up. We're gonna go ahead and turn it around, and we need to pull these sensors out from the screen assembly here. You want to be gentle because if you try and rip it out, you will accidentally tear the sensors off of this cable. Okay, So you want to be careful. So you can see we're just going around the edges, lightly pulling up. Okay. So we're just going to lightly pull up here. All right, there's a sensor at the bottom here. So on top, there's not actually the sensor here. This is just the cable. Underneath is the sensor. So we're going to get underneath there and lift that. You want to lift evenly around the edges. It's kind of tough because I can only lift at one point, but you get the idea. All right, I'm going to lift this one too. There we go. Okay, so we got that out. And then we got this one is still a little bit stuck. Come on. There we go. Okay, so now we got these out, both sensors there. And then we're going to have to lift the microphone up. I'm going to heat it up a little bit more. Okay, we're almost done. Once we get this sensor out, we're going to put it on the new screen and then just reassemble everything. Pretty warm, but not yet. Okay, it's probably about warm enough. We'll set that aside. All right, now let's scrape up the microphone here. So this cable goes all the way out to here, so we're gonna have to be careful getting underneath this piece. Okay. All right, here you can see we're lifting under there. All right, slowly scraping over. I'm going down towards the bottom part now. Okay, this piece is a little bit tough to remove. There we go. Go underneath, lift up the microphone here. Okay, hopefully I'm capturing all of this on camera. Work our way over. Same thing, going underneath and peeling it away. There we go. All right, so now we got the entire thing up. Hopefully that was all caught on camera. Here you can see the adhesive stuck there. All right. If the adhesive is still on the back here, there's actually still some adhesive here. You can peel it off or you can leave it on. It's up to you. But yeah, if it's flat enough and smooth enough, you can just leave it there. But if not, we'll show you how you can peel it. Actually, we'll see if I can. So I'm going to use the needle here and try and peel it up. This one doesn't want to come off, so I might have to just leave it there. I mean, it is smooth, so should be okay. Yeah, we'll just leave it. All right, and then on the replacement screen, you see this blue thing. This is to keep the microphone adhesive nice. And the way you line it up, you see the two dimples here for the speaker connector. That's what you will line up down here first, okay? So we'll grab this. Okay, and we'll line up those dimples down there. Hopefully you can see. It's hard to record this kind of stuff, especially so close up. And the camera's in the way. There you go. So those two dimples are good. Then you can go ahead and push down the microphone stuff. And then we're going to have to get these sensors lined up. So kind of lift them up. Okay, this part kind of folds underneath here. We're going to get these sensors into those little guides. It's a little bit tricky, so take your time. You don't have to rush to get this in. They do have to fall down completely flush into there. So if you see there's the plastic mount there, you want to make sure that sensor gets into that area. So sometimes it helps to use the needle to do it, and sometimes it helps to kind of just wiggle it around like this until you can kind of get it to drop into place. But it can be a little tough. Sorry if I go out of the camera. There we go. And you'll know it's good because you can actually feel like it's seated really tight, flush in there, like it's a lot lower. Okay, now we're going to get the speaker, And while we're kind of holding the sensors in place, we'll drop that in there. Okay. The speaker also has that little rubber mount that it goes into, so you'll know it's good because when you try and move it around sideways, it kind of grips. All right, then we'll get the camera sensor into that mount as well. All right, make sure to hold it in place. Then we'll grab this bracket, put that over the top. Okay, get the screwdriver. Sorry, I'm blocking the way with my arm. All right, and then we're gonna get the screws here. It's a little tricky. Normally you wanna keep holding this down so that the little sensors don't accidentally pop out, but there we go. All right, get the screw. Turn it backwards till it drops in place and loosely fit it. All right, get the next screw. I like to go across just like that. Loosely fit that screw. Okay, get this screw down here. Loosely fit that. This screw here. Just like that. All right, and the last screw. All right, and then tighten them all into place. Make sure to keep pressure on the back of the screen or do this on a solid table. Right now I'm doing it on this foam mat, so it's a little trickier. All right, but that's the best way to kind of get a better brightness view of what's going on. All right, so we got all these screws in. So next we're gonna reattach everything. So it helps to reattach the camera sensor one first up here. But let's go ahead and try and put the seal on it first. Let's see here. Okay. So we're gonna try and put this seal on. A lot of times it doesn't work right, but we'll try. Okay. So we got this here. So peel this off. Okay. All right, peel one side off, and then you got this piece. We're gonna just try and line everything up here. Okay, it's difficult to do this on camera, so we'll see. I'll try and get it lined up right. So you see there's this like piece sticking up here. That's what these little holes are for. And I have to kind of have my head over the top to be able to line it up right, so sorry if my head blocks the way. All right, so once you get it dropped in there, it always has issues. We'll see if this works, okay? So I got that in. And even with this, you're not gonna get a good water seal, so if you replace your screen, make sure you don't drop it in water. All right, so here we go. Let's see if we can peel this off and keep the adhesive down, because usually it always comes out. All right, let's see here. Okay, it's kind of staying, but it's also kind of coming out. Yep, it's always going to be a pain. Let's see. Come on, stay down. So I'm going to roll this back like this to try and keep it down. And most of it stayed. That bottom part didn't want to. There we go. All right, so we got all of that in. Now we're going to reattach these pieces. Again, it's easiest to try and get this piece in first, all right? Because then you can kind of maneuver the screen in a way to get this to line up. It's probably going to be blocked, but just like this, get it lined up. I might have to move the foam pad because it makes it hard to push down on here. So let's get rid of the foam pad. Hopefully you'll still be able to see. All right, it did go into place, and then we'll just snap that in. Okay, then we'll go ahead and rotate the screen over, get these connectors into place, get it lined up. You want to be careful, make sure you have it completely lined up before putting pressure on top, okay? Because if you push it down too hard and it's not lined up, you can damage those connectors. Man, it's having a difficult time lining up here. Come on. These connectors are often tricky. Come on, go into place. Feels like it's in, but it's not. Come on. There we go. All right, and the last one here. There we go. Line it up. Push back in the battery connector as well. All right, make sure everything is snapped down. And we're gonna try and turn it on. Make sure everything boots up. If we see the Apple logo, we know we're good. There we go. So it should be good. I recommend testing the camera. Make a phone call, cover the top to see if the screen knows to turn off. Check the home button, and yeah. And then also make a phone call and see if the ear speaker works before you snap it down, because after you snap it down, then you're gonna have a tough time. So let's see, home button. Home button works. 4, 5, 6. I'm just testing all the numbers to make sure. Looks like it's all working. Okay, emergency button works. So all these buttons seem to work. If you want, you can try doing emergency. I don't know if the... Okay, and the sound is coming from the top there. I think. Actually, no. That kind of sound comes from the bottom here. So you can't test this unless you actually make a phone call. So for that, I'd have to ask for the customer's information. So we'll do that off camera. But anyways, let's go ahead and put back all the brackets. All right, make sure everything is snapped in. It should be, because if you didn't check that before turning it on, then you probably destroyed your phone. But anyways, let's go ahead and get these little brackets back in. I'm going to switch back to the Y000 so I can put that camera stuff first. All right. Get the screw. Hopefully you can see. Okay. And then usually I'll put the first screw in loosely first, just like all the rest, and that way I can swing that thing around to adjust it if it's not lined up right. All right, then we'll get the second screw in. See, I don't think it's lined up right. Go. There we go. Tighten that in. All right, tighten the other screw. All right, now let's switch back to the PH or JIS 0. Take that bracket. All right. Drop the bracket on. You want to be careful that you don't drop that metal bracket onto any of the circuits. Okay, get the screws. And we'll loosely, oops, sorry, again, there we go. Loosely fit that screw. Second one, be careful not to let the screen open all the way. Okay, other screw. All right, loosely fit that. Third screw. Oops. Stay on there, please. There we go. Last screw. And you want to be careful because you want this. Let me put all these screws and I'll tell you in a bit. All right, so it's very important that you get this metal piece here. Let me turn that off. So this metal piece needs to line up into this little gap here. If you have it too high or too low, it will push on the back of the screen and you can damage the screen that way. So you want to be careful. Make sure it is lined up. So you can kind of take a look by closing it this way, and then you can kind of open it up that way and see if you can see where it's lining up. It looks okay. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to peel this off. Okay, and then what you want to do is pull this up slightly, the bottom, so that way you can get this top piece to slide under. The screen keeps turning itself on because it thinks I'm putting it in a pocket or putting it on a desk and then lifting it up. Alright, so once you get this top piece in, like this, by squeezing it, then you're going to want to hold from here. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and push the bottom side down. Make sure that this stays up that way. And then we're going to push the bottom side in. Okay, this makes sure that both the bottom and the top are lined up, and then the middle can kind of go outwards like this to help push itself in. So we're going to turn this on so we can see. So here you can see it's kind of putting pressure on the screen there. So that we're going to have to open it up and try and move that thing around, because otherwise this pressure is going to end up damaging the screen. So let's go ahead and open this again. Hopefully we won't break the screen taking this back out. Okay. Alright, there we go. And it's putting pressure there, so I have to make sure to push that piece. So I use my flat tool to push that. Alright, and then we're going to go ahead and push that in again. There we go, and there you go. So now the pressure thing is not there anymore. Unless you push really hard, then it does, but yeah. Alright, so there we go. And you don't want to push on your screen really hard because that will do that anywhere you press. So there we go. Line that up, make sure everything is good. We're going to switch back to the Pentalobe P.2. Okay, and we'll put our P2 or Pentalobe 0.8, and we'll put back these bottom screws just like that. There we go, and that's pretty much all there is to it. Hopefully this video helped you guys. If it did, please like, subscribe, share my channel with others. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. So here you go, it's good. Everything's good, slides up, home button's good, and this works. Okay, so there we go. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.